service the word, just one word, the word priceless. Priceless. If you had an authenticated 16th century Ming Dynasty vase, when they're that expensive, they're not vases. And the insurance adjuster comes over and he says that this item is irreplaceable. It's priceless. If you had maybe a authentic pottery from the motherland of Africa from maybe the 8th century, and they tell you that this pottery that was shaped by hands years ago is a priceless artifact. Or if you had a Lamborghini that was one of the original ones that come off the line, and that blessing had your name on it. And they tell you that there's no sense in trying to buy coverage on it. You can't replace the parts. It's priceless. Would you let people toss that vase around just playing indoor football? Would you let it pass from person to person and put their hands all over it, whether their hands have been clean or not? Would you just simply lay it on a shelf somewhere and whoever comes by, if they happen to hit it, it's all right? Or that car, would you say to that 16-year-old, I want to take a drive. I got my license last week. How would you treat that priceless object? Would it be open to be tossed to and fro and played with, dirtied and discarded? Or would you be very protective of it? Say, this is a priceless artifact. Can't replace it. But guess what? Every part of you is priceless. Therefore, if you're priceless, you just said you wouldn't let everybody pass that vase around. I'll let that slowly come into your mind. You just said you wouldn't let anybody get in that car and tear it up. You just said that you would protect it dearly. So since you wouldn't let anybody hit the pottery, why do you let them hit you? Since you're priceless and you are irreplaceable. And I don't teach this for you to be arrogant. I teach this for you to understand who you are in God. You see, many times the enemy makes us think that we're nothing and nobody because of the circumstances we're in. But don't you know, really, you are bound by what you think more than where you are. There are stories of birds that have been in cages for a long time. When you open the door, the birds won't even fly. You can leave the cage door open because they're so used to being in captivity. Their mind has became the mind of being in captivity. And sometime in the body of Christ, we get so used to being in captivity. We get so used to being bound. We get so used to the enemy having his way with us that we do not have the power to realize that when Jesus rose from the dead, and we shout about all power, if he got all power, come out of the cage, baby. Why are you hiding in the cage if Jesus got all power? When he said, I got to save mankind, he didn't send Abraham, the father of 3 religions, did not send Isaac or Jacob, did not send David, but he sent his only begotten son, that he might die on Calvary for you and for me. Therefore, he's saying you are priceless. He's saying, therefore, if I sent Jesus, my only son, to pay the price for your sin, then you ought to understand who you are and whose you are. That's why he says, what shall you say to all of your haters and all of these problems? You can say, if God be for me. If God be for me, it's more than the whole world against you. You ought to stop saying that you're outnumbered. When God is on your side, You're in the majority. I'm reminded in 1 Kings when the enemy was surrounding Elisha and his servant thought that they were outnumbered. And Elisha said, open the eyes of my servant. And when he opened his eyes up, he saw the angels with chariots of fire surrounding the enemy. What I'm trying to tell you, when you think you're outnumbered, God got some folk, God got some angels that are all around you and are protecting you. Don't you walk around scared of no devil in hell. Can't nobody hit you. Can't nobody voodoo you. If they sprinkle some dust on your porch, go out there and dance in it. Because when you're anointed by the power of God, no weapon formed against you shall be able to prosper. Because don't you know you're priceless? Don't you know Jesus died for you?